everyone, welcome to Rhetoric The Key to Persuasion. Today we're going to dive into what rhetoric is, why it matters, and how you can use it in your own writing and analysis. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll look at the origins of rhetoric, Aristotle's appeals, the rhetorical devices, and how to analyze text. Then we'll end with a look at how to write a rhetorical analysis essay and what readings you'll be working with this week. Let's start with Aristotle, often called the father of rhetoric. He lived from 384 to 322 BC and was one of the first to systematically study persuasion. His ideas still shape the way we think about communication today. Rhetoric is simply the art of persuasion. The goal is to change someone's point of view or motivate them to take action. To do this effectively, a speaker or writer needs a clear thesis, strong evidence, logical organization, and a style that connects with the audience. We need rhetoric because it's everywhere. Politics, advertising, social media, even everyday conversations. Rhetoric gives us the tools to influence others and also to critically evaluate the messages we receive. Aristotle identified three main appeals: ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos appeals to ethics or credibility. Logos appeals to logic, and pathos appeals to emotion. Mastering these three appeals helps you to craft persuasive arguments. Take a moment and read the slide. I'm going to pause here. Notice the words that are underlined: ethics, credibility, speaker, research, trust, okay? As the writer or the speaker, okay, you want your audience to be able to trust that you know what you're talking about. Again, I'm going to pause and give you a chance to read. Again, notice the words that are underlined: logic, facts, research, proof of evidence. Okay? So, along with showing that your audience that you know what you're talking about, you are showing them that you can back it up with the facts. Okay? Again, I'll pause and let you read. Again, let's look at these underlined words: emotion, feels, experiences. So this is the way that you connect to your audience on an emotional level. It's a way that you show your audience that you understand where they're coming from and that they can understand where you're coming from. So it's like you see eye to eye. Let's talk about how you can incorporate these things into your own writing and how you can identify them in others' writings. Okay? So you establish ethos by highlighting your authority, citing reliable sources, or even just using correct grammar and clear reasoning. The way you present yourself builds trust to your audience. I'll pause for a minute so that you can take this in. All right. How can we incorporate logos? And what do we look for when we are reading other writings or listening to other people speak? You might use statistics, cause and effect arguments, or clear evidence to support your claims. If the logic makes sense, your audience is more likely to be persuaded. Logos is all about reasoning. Take a moment and read. How can we incorporate pathos? This appeals to emotions through storytelling, imagery, or values that matter to your audience. This is what makes your message stick in the people's hearts as well as their minds. I'll pause for a moment. All right, here it is in a really quick, easy little cheat sheet. Feel free to screenshot this page if you like. All right, and we're moving on. So, beyond the appeals, we also use rhetorical devices. And this is language tools that add impact and persuasion. These include figurative language, literary devices, and stylistic choices. These slides show some of the most common rhetorical devices. For example, similes and metaphors help us compare ideas. Personification brings concepts to life. Hyperbole exaggerates for effect, and oxymorons highlight contradictions. Each device adds flavor and persuasiveness to language. Pause for a moment. Feel free to take down notes on any of these. I'm pretty sure most of you know them. But this might be a good chance to take down some notes and jog your memory. Writers also use devices like allusion, which is references to history or literature, euphemisms to soften harsh ideas, and repetition to emphasize key points. Parallelism and juxtaposition add rhythm and contrast, while understatement can create humor or irony. The key is that all of these shape how your audience receives your message. Let's look deeper into some of these. Allusion. Allusion is a brief reference to a famous person or event, often from literature, history, Greek mythology, or the Bible, and it can help to simplify some complex ideas. Oftentimes, speakers and writers use allusion to help relate and connect to their readers or their audience. It's like finding a common thread or finding common knowledge between the speaker or writer and their audience. Euphemism. We have to face it. Sometimes the world could be an ugly place. And as writers and or when we're giving a speech, sometimes we have to address those things. And it helps to kind of soften the blow a little bit by using a mild or pleasant word or phrase instead of the one that is unpleasant or offensive. Take a moment and read the examples below. Repetition. Two types of repetition we see in rhetoric are anaphora and epistrophe. This is the repetition of words or phrases to build a climax or add emphasis. Anaphora happens at the beginning of a line, and epistrophe happens at the end of a line.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
For when we have faced down impossible odds, when we've been told we're not ready, or that we shouldn't try, or that we can't, generations of Americans have responded with a simple creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. It was a creed written into the founding documents that declared the destiny of a nation. Yes, we can. It was whispered by slaves and abolitionists as they blazed a trail towards freedom through the darkest of nights. Yes, we can. It was sung by immigrants as they struck out from distant shores and pioneers who pushed westward against an unforgiving wilderness. Yes, we can. It was the call of workers who organized, women who reached for the ballot, a president who chose the moon as our new frontier, and a king who took us to the mountaintop and pointed the way to the promised land. Yes, we can to justice and equality.
Parallelism. This happens when successive words, phrases, clauses are expressed with the same or very similar grammatical structure. This can add balance and rhythm, and most importantly, emphasis to an argument. It often occurs with anaphora and epistrophe, as you read and heard in Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech and Barack Obama's Yes We Can speech.
Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
Juxtaposition. This is putting two contrasting elements together that are so unalike that the effect is surprising, witty, or even startling. I'm not sure how many of my wonderful students are artists, but we often see juxtaposition in art, as painters will contrast light and dark, or white and black, or light and shadow, right? For effect. I said when we were talking about imagery that just like artists have a canvas, we writers also have a canvas, except ours is a canvas of words. Juxtaposition in words often occurs with parallelism. An excellent example of this is JFK's Amherst College speech in his dedication to Robert Frost, where he contrasts power and poetry. Understatement. This is the opposite of hyperbole. All right, on to the next topic. So when analyzing rhetoric, we use soapstone. And I told you guys before that we English teachers, we love our acronyms. And so this one stands for speaker, occasion, audience, purpose, subject, and tone. Who is the voice behind the text? What do we know about them? What is the time, place, or situation that prompted the text? Who is the text written for and how do we know? Is there more than one audience? Oftentimes, a speaker or writer is addressing multiple audiences. What's the author's goal? What's the main topic or idea of the text? What's the author's attitude? So this acronym will help us to break down a text and understand how and why it works. To write your own analysis, you'll apply soapstone. Start with a hook to introduce the text. And write a clear thesis about how effectively the author uses rhetorical strategies. Then use your body paragraphs to analyze specific strategies with evidence. And finally, wrap it up with a conclusion that connects everything back to the author's purpose. Your thesis statement should answer 3 questions. What text are you analyzing? What is the author's purpose? And how do they achieve it? Be specific and arguable. Don't just summarize, but make a claim about the strategies. Take a moment and read the tips for success. So, if you need help writing a thesis statement, I have a formula here that I think is very helpful. In title of text, author uses what strategy to achieve what purpose for what audience. Okay? Let's take a look at some thesis statements. Here we see weak versus strong, okay? The weak one just summarizes. The stronger one names specific strategies and ties them to the author's purpose. That's what you should aim for in your own essays. Here's a really good example using one of the texts we read in class. In One Writer's Beginnings, Eudora Welty uses detailed description, personal reflection, and pathos to show how early experiences shaped her as a writer, inspiring readers to reflect on their own beginnings. This week, you will choose from several texts by the following authors: Sandra Cisneros, Martin Luther King Jr., Malala Yousafzai, Chimamanda Adichie, and David Foster Wallace. This diverse set covers different times, genres, and audiences. Your job will be to identify the rhetorical appeals and devices in whichever text you select. It would behoove you to research each author and find a summary of each text. That way, you can be confident in your choice as you use this text for your discussion board this week, as well as the rhetorical analysis essay and the rhetorical analysis group project due in upcoming weeks. To wrap up, remember, rhetoric is about persuasion. Aristotle's appeals are your foundation. Rhetorical devices are your tools. With Soapstone, you'll be able to analyze any text. And with practice, you'll master persuasive writing yourself. Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing your insights in your essays and discussions.